Well, hi y'all, welcome back to Cooking 101. You too can cook. I've missed y'all. Sorry for the delay in getting this video out. We went down to my niece's wedding over the weekend. It was a beautiful day and a beautiful wedding. But we're back at it now, and you know, as I said, we're going to start off with the easy things. And one of the easiest things to cook is the great edible egg. Alright, so these things are so versatile and they're very, very easy to prepare. So we are going to prepare eggs 4 ways today, okay? So get out your notebook, get out your pencil, and let's get started. All right, the first one that we're gonna do is we're gonna boil an egg. All right, we're gonna start it out in a cold pan. Well, I just cracked that egg right there in the thing. That's nice. I didn't realize I was so strong. We're gonna cover it with just enough water to cover the eggs.
Water.
All right. Now, people say that if you put in a splash of vinegar and some salt, that you will help keep cracks from forming and that they'll peel better for you later. So I'll sprinkle a little salt in there. And let's see here, what did I do with my vinegar? Hold on just a second, I think I'll put it in here. I've been making boiled eggs for a long time, and I've always tried to figure out what the best way is to do it. Just put a splash in there. And this is what I've found repeatedly, so we're gonna try it. All right, so we've got cold water in there, we've got 2 eggs in there, we put just a pinch of salt and just a splash of vinegar. We're gonna turn it on. Now, we're going to turn it on high heat because what we want to do is we want to get it to a rolling boil. Okay, there's 2 kinds of boiling. A rolling boil is where it gets very, very hot and the water moves quite turbulently and it's going to boil it a lot quicker. Okay, and then there's a soft boil that you might do for pastas or things like that. But we're going to turn this up so that it'll get going. And this is a neat feature on this stove. This is a power boil burner is what they call it, and so it heats up and does its thing much quicker. So while we're waiting for that, I'll wash my hands here. Always wash your hands, especially when you are working with eggs, because there is the issue that you might be able to pick up salmonella, and we don't want that to happen because that will make you sick. Make all of the people you're cooking for sick. So we have to be very careful about cross-contamination and cleanliness when we're working with eggs, okay? Now, as I said, I didn't know my own strength and I cracked that egg right there in the carton, but it's all right. Okay, now while that's getting going, we're going to fry some eggs here. Now, interesting thing is, if you've ever scrambled an egg or fried an egg and sometimes they stick in the pan, I always wondered, why does it do that? Aha, I did some research, and there are special proteins in the egg that start to break down with heat, and then if you don't have enough oil or butter in there, it does not create enough of a barrier, and those proteins will adhere to the metal, and that's why it's so hard to get that baked on egg off of there later on. So we're going to turn it on. We're going to turn it down right below medium, okay, at low. We're just going to let the pan heat up for just a moment, because we want it to be hot, but we don't want it to be so hot that it creates issues. Okay, so I'm going to use the spatula. I like to use this flatter spatula because it gets underneath the egg much easier. So let's just use a little bit of butter here. Your version of a little bit of butter and mine may differ, but we're just going to let that heat up and kind of melt down in there. Okay. Now I like to use the soft butter, but if you have stick butter, you can just cut off a pat of butter and put that in there. Some people prefer to use spray, and that's fine. I do have that as well. There's like a butter flavored spray, but these have chemicals in them, and they adhere to your pan as well, and sometimes it's hard to keep your pans looking nice with this type of spray. Now I do have these new pump sprays, and this is avocado oil spray, and it's supposed to be better for you, and it doesn't have those chemicals because it's a pump action sprayer. So, but I like butter. Butter, everything's better with butter, like Paula Deen says. Okay, so you can see that the butter is starting to melt, okay? And so to lubricate the pan, just move that around with a spatula, okay? And then we're gonna crack an egg. Have you ever cracked an egg before? Because if you haven't, it's really easy. So I have a counter right here, and I've got the corner of the counter, I've got the corner of the pan I can use. I can use the corner of the stove as well. But what you're looking for is that kind of sharp edge. Just tap it like that. Okay, it's cracked. Then you're going to take your two thumbs and you're going to crack it open like that. Okay, and then it goes right in there. And the reason you get your two thumbs going is because it helps that pull that shell apart, and hopefully you don't get it in the pan. But if you do, don't stress. You could just take this shell, reach down in there, and usually the shell in the pan will adhere to the shell that's in your hand. Now, I'm very careful. I didn't get any on my pinky, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to throw away these shells, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to wash my hands because I got egg on my hands. The issue too is that you're using other utensils, you're using the pan, different things like that. So you want to make sure that you just keep everything nice and clean. Okay, I'm going to turn that up to about medium heat now, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of salt in there, and I'm going to put a little bit of pepper. Just put it right in there on top of it. Okay, and we're going to wait. We're going to go ahead and let that cook. So what you see on this outside edge, this is called the white of the egg. Obviously it's white, but it is the egg whites, okay? The yellow part in the middle are the yolks, okay? So when you're making fried eggs, the majority of what you're going to have is a fried white egg part, and then you'll have your yolks there in the middle. And I like mine to be over easy, which means that the yolks are going to be cooked, but they'll still be runny when you puncture them. All right, let's take a look at our boiling egg here. That's getting to be a pretty good boil there. It's not quite a rolling boil. That's a little bit, you know, more action than that. So we'll keep our eye on that, because just as soon as it starts boiling, we're going to turn off the heat, cover it, and we're going to let them sit there. Okay, and you let it sit there for about 6 minutes for a soft boiled egg. If you like it about medium, then you're going to do about 9 or 10 minutes. And if you want a hard-boiled egg where the yolk in the middle is totally done, then you're going to do about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so we'll let that do its thing. You can see here that the whites of this egg are starting to cook along the outside edge, but the center is still kind of liquidy. All right, now you have to cook an egg, because if it's too runny, then you can still get sick from it. But there are a lot of people that like it, you know, that way. But you just have to be careful, because you don't want to get sick and you don't want to get anybody else sick. And you can come in here, get that spatula underneath your yolk, and flip it. All right, and that's going to allow that yolk to stay intact.
Magic.
I'll flip the other egg here. Okay, and you can see right there, the bottom part of the yolk is set. All right, so it's cooked. And I'm going to put this on my spoon rest. We talked about that. All right, here we have a plate. All right, it does not take very long once you flip it for the egg yolk to set up, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and take those off and put that on my plate. You can see that it has set up and cooked over the yolk because the white is done. All right. And there you go. There you have 2 fried eggs. See how easy that was? All right, now this is a rolling boil. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it off like they said. Okay, we're gonna put a lid on it. And for the sake of time, I'm gonna do a soft boiled egg. Okay, so we'll do about 6 minutes I'll just put a timer on here. And that'll tell us when that is done. Okay? Now, so those eggs are done. Wonderful thing about a non-stick pan is everything comes out of there pretty easily. All right, the next kind that we're gonna do is scrambled. Who loves scrambled eggs? I do. All right, now, one thing I tell people is, if you want something different, you wanna do a breakfast burrito, okay? Fry up a little bit of sausage first. Okay, we're not gonna do that today, okay? But I'm just showing you, fry up a little sausage in your pan, all right? Then go ahead and put your eggs in there and get them cooked up and just mix the sausage in with that. If you like salsa, you can put some salsa in there as well. And then when all of that's done and cooked, then you add your cheese in there, okay? And then once all that's done, you come over here, you get yourself a tortilla, flour tortilla or corn, whichever you prefer. Take a little bit of your mixture, put it right there on the tortilla and roll it up and enjoy it. Okay, so that's an idea. Now today, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna make regular scrambled eggs. All right, so this is how I do it. I'm sure other people do things differently, but if I'm making scrambled eggs for one person, I'm gonna do 2 eggs. That's usually about the amount that a normal person would eat, okay? So once again, we're just gonna take it on the counter there, we're gonna crack it, and we're gonna pull it apart with our thumbs. I have seen chefs that can do it one-handed. I am not one of those people. It would end up on the floor. All right, now this one did not cooperate. It started to disintegrate, but always just look down in there, make sure you didn't get any there, and I didn't get any in there. I also didn't get any on my pinky, so we're just gonna come right over here, open the trash, throw those away, come over here and wash our hands. Now, I have them in this case it's in a mug, okay? I've got the fork ready to go. A lot of people will add a little bit of water or just a little bit of milk, and I'm just talking like a splash, all right? And what that does is it makes your eggs fluffier. I prefer milk or cream, but some people do just use water, and you can do either. Okay, now see that milk is in there, and we got our egg whites and we got our 2 egg yolks. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna puncture those yolks just like that. And we're gonna stir, okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to incorporate all of that together till we get a nice yellow mixture, okay? So then, once we've done that, we're gonna turn our heat on. Let's just pretend like we're just starting from scratch, okay? And so then we'll get a little bit of butter. All right. And I don't want to take Paula's saying, so we'll say everything's best with butter. There we go. We'll just change it up just a little bit. All right, so this pan was already kind of hot, so it won't take very long for it to heat up. I am going to turn it down just a little bit so that it's not too hot when the eggs hit the pan. Because what you got to understand is these are cold. You know, you do want a hot pan, but you don't want the temperature difference to be so hot that the eggs adhere to it. Now, when I'm making scrambled eggs, I like to use the spatula. So remember that from the last video? And the reason for that is you can get right around the edges and you can scrape the bottom nice and easy. Okay? But if you don't have one of these, the spatula does just fine. Okay, now, they say that you can do a water test to see if your pan is hot enough. Just drop a thing of water in there, see right there? And if it dances, which it's dancing, it's hot enough. Okay, but the butter is dancing too. All right, now we're just gonna go ahead and pour that egg mixture in there. Scrape it all out. Get it all in there, okay? Now, we're gonna put this in the sink. We'll wash that up later, okay? And now, once you put the eggs in there, these are different. They're not gonna take as long as the fried eggs because, as I said, the pan is already hot. So you wanna come in with your salt, okay? And your pepper. You put however much you like in there, okay? And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start folding it in from the outside edge because the outside edges are gonna be what cooks first. All right, so see, I'm just pulling it in towards the middle. Okay, and you just keep going because it's all going to start to set up. Now, there are a lot of people that like their scrambled eggs kind of runny. But once again, you have to be careful that you have cooked them thoroughly because you don't want to get sick. Now, I prefer my eggs to be a little bit more done. There's a lot of people that have differing views on that, but it doesn't matter to me if they get a little brown on them. And some people don't like that. They say they're burnt, but they really aren't. They're not burnt till they're black or really, really brown. Okay, so that's our timer. Okay, so what we're gonna do, okay, is we're gonna take that off of there and we're gonna put this in an ice bath. And I just happen to have an ice bath right here. Okay, let's pour off the extra water so it's not too hot. See how I'm just leaning that right against the side of the sink? Okay, and then we're gonna put it down in there. I'll add just a little bit of water. And you're probably saying, well, why do these eggs have to have a bath? Well, because that stops the cooking right then and there, all right? And that'll help with the peeling process later, and it keeps the yolk from getting any more done. Because sometimes if the yolk gets done too much, it'll take on a green hue. Nobody likes a green eggs and ham, right? Semi-in. All right, so we're back to our scrambled eggs here. And you can see they're really setting up here on the bottom, all right? So then I just come in here and I just kind of chop them up, if you will, okay? And I just make sure that all of them are getting nice and cooked. Now, you've moved everything away from the outside of the pan. You want everything towards the center now, okay? Because that's where your heat is, and you want to finish them up. Now you can check, make sure that they're done. They're going to get rid of their glossiness, and they're going to take on this fluffy nature, all right? And you can see some of them are starting to brown a little bit, and these eggs are done. Look how easy that was. Okay, and if you go ahead and you want to make your burritos, you've already cooked your sausage and drained it. Okay, then you just add your salsa, your sausage, and then do this. Get your cheese, and then you're good to go. All right, we're going to add this to our plate of eggs here. Let's go ahead and turn off our flames, because you know I don't want to pull my hand and my arm over this if the flame's still going. And we'll just put that right there. All right, look at that, yum. All right, now my wife, she loves cheese on her eggs, okay? So a lot of times I'll just take a little bit of shredded cheese. Yes, it's from a bag, but and just sprinkle that over the top, and the heat from that egg will go ahead and melt that. Now, if I have time and no big issue, then I might go ahead and just do it in the pan, and then you can put a lid over it, and the steam will help melt the cheese even more, okay? All right, now, we're gonna make an omelet. Who likes omelets? Eee! Can you tell that I like eggs? All right, so it's the same basic concept as we did for the scrambled eggs. I'm just gonna clean that out real quick. But we're gonna let it set up in the pan a little bit more. So once again, we're gonna take a little bit of butter. Okay, now see, this is already dirty this time, so I'm not going to use that in there. I'll just reach in here and get a spoon. I know it's another dish to wash, but we want to make sure that we're being clean there. You don't want to add that stuff to your butter. All right, there's that. Look, it's already melting. I don't even have the heat on because we have so much residual heat from the last time. Okay, once again, right between low and medium. Okay, just to heat up the pan. The butter is already dancing. Can you see that? All right, now we're going to go back to using our spatula this time because we're going to have to flip that omelet. And I like this because it's so thin it gets right underneath there. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to get 2 more eggs. Okay, once again, got it right here. Get it on the side. Take your 2 thumbs. Pull the shell apart. Okay. All right, and then I just stack one part of the shell inside of the other and just hold it in this hand, leaving my thumb free. Okay, and do another egg, and there we go. That's how easy it is, folks, to crack an egg. Okay, once again, nothing on the pinky. Come on over here, we're gonna throw that away real quick. And then what we're gonna do, wash our hands. And I use the side of my hand because there's nothing on the side of my hand. You know, that's one thing that we really have to think of when we're making breakfast or lunch or, you know, anything for someone else too, is we don't want to make anybody sick. So we have to make sure we're not cross-contaminating. All right, once again, I'm gonna grab a little bit of milk here. I should have put it away. I'll put just a splash of milk in here. This helps to make the omelet a little fluffier. We're going to do the same thing we did with the scrambled eggs. We've got our milk, we've got the yolks in there and the egg whites. And if you want a healthier version of this, you can just use the egg whites. And I'll show you how we can do that here in just a minute. Okay, so see, same idea. We've got it all mixed up. It's a beautiful golden yellow color. All right, put that right here. Now, a lot of times too, we might just do that and help that butter spread around the pan. I'm going to pour that right in there. I'm going to make sure we get all of it out of there. All that good stuff, okay. I'm going to set this back in the sink so it's out of the way. Now, I'm going to go ahead and salt and pepper again. Okay, now this is going to be a little bit different because we're not going to mess with it like we did the scrambled eggs. We're not going to pull it in from the side or anything like that. We want the whole egg to set up. So that's how we make an omelet. So what we're going to watch for is for it to build in size up and it'll look fluffy and it's going to start pulling away from the side of the pan. And then you'll know that it's time to flip it. Because if you flip it too soon, your egg is just going to go everywhere. You're going to make a big mess and you get to clean it up. So now when you're making an omelet, you can put anything in it that you like. In our house we like a little bit of ham in ours, so I'll go ahead and get a couple pieces of that out. And then of course we love cheese, so we'll put a little bit of cheese in there too. I'll open that, get that ready to pour in there. Okay, and we'll put that in at the last. Okay, now if you like salsa, you can go ahead and put that in this stage and it'll just cook in the egg. Okay, if you like a little bit of chives or something like that, you can go ahead and put it in at this stage as well. Okay, so it's starting to cook around the edge. Okay, we've got a kind of a bubble there. We can poke that down. See how runny it is still? If we try to flip it now, we'll be in trouble. So now, since I'm using this spatula was over here, but I can't put that back over there now because I went in here and touched the raw egg. Okay, so let's make sure it goes on the spoon rest and not back over on the plate where we have eggs that are done. Okay, so this is all done. It's a little hot at this point, so just set that to the back of the stove. Now, I use the sink itself to kind of pour those out, but if you don't want to do that, you can use a spoon like this. This is the spaghetti spoon from the other day. So when you go in there to get those eggs out, the water will drain out of there and you'll just have your egg left. Make sure you watch for any drips because that could burn you. All right, let's see how we're doing over here. Oh wow, they are ice cold on that side, but they're still warm, a little bit warm on the other side. So we're gonna keep them in there for just a little bit. All right, let's take a look at our omelet, see where we're at here. Okay, it's setting up. Now see, we have to be careful. You might be tempted to turn up the heat a lot so that it cooks faster, but if you do that, then you could brown it a little bit too much on the other side, or if you don't have a nonstick pan, adhere it to the pan. So just, if you would need to turn it up just a little bit, just barely turn it so that we're still underneath medium, okay? Now, I'm gonna test it here. You can see how this is kind of plumped up there on the edges, okay? So it's starting to set up. I like to have mine set up a little bit more in the middle before I flip it. So we'll let it do its thing. Oh, let's see here. So, you know, let's say you like, let's see, there's some chives. What did I do with my chives? Well, I don't know what I did with my chives. I also have Mrs. Dash. I love Mrs. Dash, and you can use that for a lot of things. So we're gonna put a little bit of that on there. I try to have most of my ingredients out when I'm cooking. I'm just gonna sprinkle that on there because it can be really garlic forward. This is a garlic and herb Mrs. Dash, but it does give it a little bit more of a flavor. All right, look, that's nice and set up now. Okay, so you're gonna slide your spatula underneath there towards the middle. Just a nice, quick, and then you're gonna flip it away from you, okay? You don't want any egg to splash on you, so you flip it this way or flip it towards the back so that's away from you. All right, now we flipped it. This side is done. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna lay in our ham there, okay? I'm gonna put a little bit of cheese in there, or a lot of cheese. Don't yell. All right, now that the ingredients are in there and that other side is getting done, you're just gonna take your spatula, you're gonna go towards the middle of the egg, and you're gonna flip it over. Okay? Now, you're gonna give it just a few minutes so that the ingredients that you just put inside the omelet can cook, okay? Can warm up and cook. These are already products that are just, they're cooked and ready. You just have to add them to it, okay? But you're gonna give it a few minutes on that side, and then I like to go ahead and flip the omelet so that ingredients on this side can catch that extra heat, okay? Okay, so once again, do you see how fast I did that? Just slide it right under there and flip it over. Okay, now see, it's getting a little brown. That's okay. I like mine a little brown. There's some people that would say, well, that's not real omelet because it's not supposed to be that done, but that's okay. That's the way I like it. And if you want yours less brown, then you can do that. All right, so it's really done cooking, so I'm going to turn off the heat. Okay, then I'm going to take it and I'm going to serve it right onto my plate here. And look at that. We have 3 kinds of eggs. And what was that, about 10 minutes? Fantastic, you can do it. I know you can. All right, now let's check on our eggs over here. Oh yes, they're nice and cold right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna shake them off here. And we'll put them right over here. And folks, that's how easy it is to make eggs 4 ways. So go to the store, the eggs are back down in price where they're supposed to be. It's cheap, it's fast, and it's nutritious, and you'll have success for breakfast. And that's what I want for you, success. Don't forget, you too can cook.